All right, guys, here we go. First lesson. Yes, I realize if you're paying close attention, you'll notice that this is example 1 from the PDF notes page. That is intentional on my part. I wanted you to read through these examples and read some descriptions on your own first before I work through them and talk about it. So for this first one, we're going to read through this. I want you to look at what you're looking for. We're trying to identify terms, coefficients, constants, and factors. Now, in your PDF and your notes, you already had definitions of those, so I'm not going to go back through those definitions. What I am going to tell you is, anytime you have a complicated expression like the one we have here, with grouping symbols and such, you really need to clean that up before you try and identify any of these 4 things. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. If you'll notice, what we start with is 2 times 3 plus x. And that is a distributive property problem. Then that's broken into x times 1 minus 4. Also a distributive property. And then we have, lastly, a plus 5 on the end. So we're going to take each one of those piece by piece. So, distributing the 2 means we multiply it by both parts. So we end up with 6 plus 2x. Now we're going to do the same thing with the second piece. We're going to distribute this. Please remember, x times 1, pretty easy. Please remember when you're distributing the x times the 4x that you need to bring down that minus with it. Or you can treat it like a negative 4x, either way. So x and times 4x is going to be 4x squared. Minus comes down, so we have minus 4x squared. Okay? Plus our 5. Now, the next thing we need to do is combine any like terms that we have. Like terms, same variable raised to the same power. So, in this example, the 6 and the 5 are like terms because they're constants. They don't have any variable attached to them. So, 6 plus 5 would be 11. Then we have 2x and x, both x to the first power. Even though the one's not written, we could write it if we wanted to. Those become like terms. Remember, the leading coefficient here is a 1. So 2x to the first plus 1x to the first would give us, we add those coefficients, those leading numbers, would give us 3x. And I'm not going to put the 1 as being understood there. Okay? All right. That leaves us with the 4x squared, or the minus 4x squared. There's no other x squared terms, right? There's no other x squared piece, so that's going to be by itself. All right, the last thing that you should remember from previous years is that you want to order these in descending order based on the exponents. So in other words, this piece with the x squared should go first, this piece should come second, and then the number by itself should come third. So we're going to go through and do that. So when you move the 4x squared, okay, when you move that piece, you need to move the negative with it, or the minus out front with it. Okay, that goes with that 4x squared wherever it goes. And then we have a plus 3x, and then we have a positive 11 out front, so plus 11. And that is a fully simplified version of that expression. Okay, there's nothing else we can do to that. Now we can go back through and identify terms, okay, factors, coefficients, and constants. So we're going to start with identifying the terms. So the terms in this case are the things that are separated by addition or subtraction. So your first term is negative 4x squared. Your second term is 3x. You can put the plus out front if you want to, but it's positive, so we don't really need that. And then lastly, 11. Those 3 things are separated by addition or subtraction in that problem. They're separated by these plus signs. Okay? So that is your terms. Next thing is your factors. Within each term, if you have things that are multiplied together, those would be factors. So in the first term, negative 4 times x squared. Each of those are factors. In your next one, you have 3 times x. So the 3 and the x are the factors of that second term. And in the last one, it's just the 11 and it's not really multiplied by anything. So next we have coefficients. Coefficients are the numbers that are out front. So for the first term, the -4 is the coefficient. For the second term, the 3 is the coefficient. And for the last term, you don't call it a coefficient unless there's a variable in that term. So this last one it does not have a coefficient. And that brings us to the last thing we'll talk about, which is the constant. And the constant is always the number that doesn't change. It's the number that the term that does not contain a variable. Okay, so in this case, the 11 would be our constant. Okay, all right. So there's going to be another video for example 2 and another video for example 3. So make sure you watch both of those two before finishing the form.